Exercise, as we all know, is an important part of human activity. But do we ever pause to think about its importance to our general well-being? In this program, we'll be exploring the benefits that can come from adding regular exercise to our daily activities. For example, if you've given up smoking, or if you plan to, exercise can help you rebound from the poor health that is the legacy of smoking. And the good news is it is never too late to start our own exercise plan. Over the next few minutes, we're going to explore just some of the different ways in which people of all ages and abilities can take part in regular exercise, with an emphasis on making it enjoyable. Now, before I do that, Chris, can I ask you why? Why should we do it? And what's the benefit?
Well, can I in return point out that this is a very modern question? 100 years ago, there would be no emphasis on exercise because most people would have walked to work, or they'd have worked in the fields, or they would have cycled to work. In other words, they would have had a very adequate amount of exercise in the course of the day.
There's overwhelming evidence now through a range of studies, longitudinal studies, following many thousands of people over many years, that the benefits of exercise are very broad in terms of physiological systems, important for quality of life, for life expectancy or length of life. So there's no question now in terms of the benefits, and it doesn't have to be vigorous activity. It can be moderate activity as long as it's regular, and the earlier in life it starts, the more benefit there'll be.
There is increasing evidence that exercise on a regular basis can slow down and even prevent heart disease as a primary health manoeuvre. And there is even more recent evidence that exercise after a heart event, such as angina or a heart attack, in those patients can slow down progression of disease and at least help prevent future attacks and evidence of further angina or heart attack or even sudden death.
I suspect also that their overall nutrition would have been less bountiful than it is now. No question of junk food or excessive calories. Most people realise that exercise is necessary for weight loss. Most people recognise that it's good for cardiorespiratory fitness. But there are also other benefits, such as a sense of well-being and so on.
But what about exercise for older people? Couldn't that be stressful?
I think stress is part of any exercise, and stress is most evident in younger sportsmen pushing themselves to the limit.
A lot of the information we know about the stress of exercise, the physiological stress of exercise, comes from studies where we look at the limits of the possible. We look at athletes and the way in which they push themselves to maximum. And based on that, we can use that information to see how that might impact the general population when they undertake more moderate activity usually. And so a lot of the studies look at how far can people push themselves.
But just dealing with older people, I think regular gentle exercise is the way to go. I'm not a proponent of a severe exercise straight away for everyone. I think one tempers the exercise to the person who's exercising.
I want to say hello, I want to see you smile, I want to hold you in my arms again. Four boys, stop on the right, in the middle, turn it one time, 9. Do an alley man left that corner, wave that rain, winding and out, go down the line, you meet that girl so fine. Swinging well, your lady promenade. I want to see you smile, hey, I'll hold you a while, yep, I'll hold you in my arms again.
But in biological terms, mild exercise is seen as a beneficial stress, and organisms biologically function best when they are under some demand or under some stress. And it makes sense in a way that if you think of the human body as a machine, it should be have all its parts working from time to time, and that's really the sort of exercise we're talking about. So it's possible to overdo it, certainly. But just because an older person is exercising doesn't mean that they are under adverse stress, as long as it's done wisely.
Beneficial stress is a stress that impacts on the body in some way, that the body responds in the normal way it does to stress. If it's related to physical activity, then the body will respond to that stress in ways to protect itself, but also to benefit insofar as next time it undertakes that physical activity, it's less of a stress of the body. It adapts so that it can accommodate that physical activity without so much stress next time.
The culture to exercise is going, and it's very important, and the Heart Foundation have picked this up as a major thrust of their strategy. It's very important that we promote exercise as a lifestyle manoeuvre to all age groups, not just those who have heart disease where it is beneficial, but in those much younger where we can help prevent. The impact of exercise on weight loss and in other issues such as mental health and hypertension and the incidence of diabetes is enormous. And in heart disease, likewise, I would expect that if we can impact on exercise across the population, we will substantially reduce heart disease in the future.
But are you at risk of using up too much of your quota of energy? I have the suspicion that we only have a certain number of footsteps for a lifetime.
Well, it's actually the experience of people who exercise regularly that they, if anything, increase their sense of energy and sense of well-being. They seem to have longer days, they seem to sleep more soundly, and that does not seem to be a problem. So overall, regular exercise suits people very well. And incidentally, I might say that exercising outdoors gets you a supply of ultraviolet light and enhances your vitamin D levels. So that's another reason for exercise.
Let's go, take it in the water.
That's more like it. Good on you, Jules. 3, 4, please.
Okay, guys, got numbering up from the front.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7,
8,
9,
10, 11,
12,
13,
14, 15,
16,
17, 18, 19,
20.
In terms of energy stores, a lot of people talk about the fact they haven't got the energy to exercise. They're tired at the end of the day and they just don't feel like they've got the energy. But in fact, what we find with people who undertake physical activity program is that they comment several weeks later that they feel like they're more energetic, they've got more energy to use. And so there is a bit of a battle, a barrier to get over in the initial weeks, but eventually people do respond by saying they feel more energetic.
Paddles on the water, keep it nice and flat. Are you ready, crew? Let's paddles forward. Go! Reach it out, nice and strong, that's it. Nice stuff. Get it going. Good.
Well, Chris, you're going to be very excited about the notion of exercise, but can you get too much of it?
Yes, I think that's theoretically possible. I like to think of exercise as a benign addiction, and all addictions are thought to run through pathways involving endorphins and dopamine and the neurotransmitters in the brain. But only a very small proportion of people get adversely addicted to exercise. People sometimes like marathon runners or ballerinas or gymnasts. But we're not talking about that. We're talking about a pleasurable, regular enjoyment, which gives us pleasure. And it works through the pleasure pathway, but it's not really an addiction in the bad sense.
But can we overdo it?
Can you overdo it? Absolutely.